Okay, welcome everyone. We are in for another 20-minute crafting and chit-chatting session. We're just here to work on our crafts and chit-chat a little bit and take this time to decompress during the day. So grab your fun drink. I've got green tea today. And then grab your project. I'm working on this very large sweater that I've been working on forever. And let's get chatting and let's get crafting. So let me start my timer. We're going to do 20 minutes because I feel like that's enough time where I feel like I actually got some time to kind of dive in and feel like the mental health, relaxation benefits of it, but not so much time that I worry I won't be able to fit it into my schedule on most days. Okay, so today's a little bit different because normally I do this after my work, like at the end of my work day, at like 5 or 6 or 7 or something. And today, let me grab this. Might help. Okay. Today I am doing this in the middle of my work day, like on my lunch break, because it has been an extra stressful couple of days, and I was like, I just need to do something else that isn't my work before I get back to it. And so I thought, why not use my lunch break to do a little chit chat and craft session? Curious, do any of you like to work on your crafts during your break, like from the rest of your work, or are you kind of like end of the day, use it to wind down for the evening, or both? You also have the people who like bring their crafts with them absolutely everywhere. And then, if they're like in line at the doctor's office, the DMV, they're working on it. All right, so it's time for me to switch over to a new ball. So yeah, let me know in the comments when your favorite time to work on your crafts are. I usually do it at the end of the day, like I was saying, but we're trying out midday today and we'll see how it goes. So, as I've said in a different video, this is the Rift sweater. I bought this pattern a few years ago, and then I'm using wool of the Andes, worsted weight, 100% wool yarn. And I like this yarn because it's like very solid and nice to work with, but it's also really affordable. So if you're doing a sweater which takes so much yarn, it's a nice choice. Okay, and again, I am not a pro. I'm not a master knitter in any way, shape, or form. So I might have some wonky techniques here and there, but I'm not positioning this as a tutorial. I'm not trying to show you the best way to knit. I am trying to show you the benefits of taking space to do your hobby and to do your crafts every day, and I'm trying to create a space where we can all do that together. So I am much more invested in like the process of knitting and crafting, more so than being like, I did it in the absolute best way and everything is perfect. Because there are so many more tutorials out there that can show you the proper way to do something, and they will know way better than me. So I'm like your cheerleader. I'm saying like, yeah, we can absolutely do this every day. You absolutely deserve to take the time to work on your hobby. It's so rewarding. It's so good for you. Why aren't you doing it more? That's what we're here for. I want to create that space where we all know that it's important to take time for ourselves and to dedicate to our own interests. Especially because I feel like with crafting, because it's not something that's like necessary for life for most of us, right? Like very few of us need to make our own sweaters and socks or need to craft things by hand. So, like in order to, survive. So it can be really easy to put it on the back burner. But I think the mental health benefits and the sense of like the feeling of reward when you complete something and you like saw it through to the end is so beneficial that I want to encourage us all to make time for it regularly. Did I do that correct? Yeah, I did. I tend to accidentally slip stitches when I'm knitting a lot, like something like when I'm doing a lot of like stockinette stitch and it's the same stitch over and over. So I tend to make those little mistakes like that. So today I've been thinking a lot about how future-minded I tend to be in my day-to-day life. Like, I would say I'm a decently anxious person, and I'm always thinking about like, oh, what's going to happen, or like, how are we going to do this, and I have to do X, Y, Z, and so, and even like, for example, I have an event coming up this weekend, and it's going to be fine, but I'm so like anxious about it, and I keep being like, oh my gosh, what is going to happen at this thing. So I'm really trying to cultivate this space for myself where I'm only focused on the present. Mindfulness, I guess, is the word for that. But I'm just trying to create this space where, like, for a few minutes, I'm not overly concerned about the future, and I'm just focused on what's going on right now. Why am I... For some reason, you ever like do something so often that all of a sudden it starts to feel weird? Or like you say a word. It's like when you say a word over and over again, and all of a sudden it starts to sound weird. I was just doing that with like the way I was holding my needles. It was like all of a sudden the needle started to feel really weird in my hand, and I was like, do I even know how to hold a knitting needle? But as I was saying, I'm trying to really use this practice of sitting down to craft every day, not always knitting, right? Sometimes another craft, to create that space for myself where I'm not overly focused on the future and I'm focused on the present moment instead. And I feel like crafts are especially good for that because you are holding something tangible in your hands, right? Like you have the physical object. It's very grounding. It like literally brings you back to reality because you're like, you can feel the weight of it. You can really feel the weight of a sweater like this. It's so huge. You can feel the weight of it in your hands. You can hear the sounds. It's very tactile. It's like a really sensory experience. And I feel like that really helps me stay present versus feel like I get spaced out and I start doing other things or my mind starts wandering too much. I wonder if any of you have noticed that. Like, do you feel like crafting really helps ground you, helps you stay more mindful? I know a lot of people got really into crafting with all the lockdowns. And it feels like the big driver there was for mental health reasons. It feels like everyone started to realize that it could really benefit them to have a little like art and craft hobby that they were working on regularly. And I've even seen like people I know from my regular life start to pick up craft hobbies. Maybe it's because I'm getting older. And people are starting to settle down a little bit more, so they're looking for stuff to keep themselves busy. But also, I feel like people are starting to realize how centering it is and how grounding it is. And I feel like people are really doing a good job of being in it for what it can give to them versus for getting like an A+ in their skills, if that makes sense. And that's the energy I'm trying to cultivate here, right? Like, the A+ comes from doing it, not from doing it perfectly, in my opinion. And that is such a tone shift from me. Like, I am naturally someone who really likes to achieve. I really like to get better at things. I'm really motivated by achievement. and outcomes. And so this is a very intentional shift for me to focus a little bit more on the process. And I think it's been really good for me, which is why I'm so adamant about creating that space here and making it more about the benefit is doing it rather than the outcome. I also, coming back to that idea of, our crafts grounding or not, or centering or not, do they help clear your mind or not? I find it's not the same for every craft, which is why I'm glad that I do a lot of different crafts, because I feel like they all have different, like my brain reacts differently to all of them. Something like this very repetitive knitting that's pretty like, I'm just doing stockinette for a long time. I wouldn't actually say it clears my mind. It does help calm me down because it's very repetitive. So you have that kind of repetitive sound. And like I was saying, you're holding the tactile object in your hand. But I wouldn't say that like it takes my mind off of things because it's very repetitive. I don't need to really think about what I'm doing. So if I had something on my mind and I'm doing knitting like this, it's still on my mind, but I might feel more calm about it, if that makes sense. Whereas if I do a hobby or a craft that either I'm not as confident in, so it's more new to me, or that is not as repetitive, or like even if I'm still knitting, but like if I have to do like something that involves a lot of counting and I have to be really aware of where I am in the row or something, that would take my mind off of things. So if I was like really worried about something and I was like, I needed to get my mind away from this and not think about it for a while, I would want to do a craft that either I was new to, or that involved a lot of like counting or very intricate technique. Whereas if I was like, I just need to calm down and it's okay if like my mind is still on the thing, then I would do a knitting project like this. I'm curious, kind of anyone else out there who does multiple crafts, I kind of want to know if you've noticed like they feel different, like you get different benefits out of them. So, verdict so far is that I think crafting in the middle of my workday was a good call on my lunch break. Again, I don't feel like it took my mind off of work, but I do feel like less agitated, if that makes sense. So I think this was a good call. I'll have to work it into my schedule a little bit more. Work from home days, it's so easy, but the days I go into the office, I'd have to plan ahead a little bit and bring it with me. Or maybe I should keep a ball of yarn and some like very like simple knitting needles at my desk and just make like a scarf, like something that doesn't require like an intense pattern to follow, just like a very simple scarf. Maybe I should keep one at my desk at work, at the office, just so I can calm down if I ever need to, or like work on it on my lunch break there. I normally try to go for a walk on my lunch break, weather permitting, but it'd be nice to have a different option as well. especially because we've had some like unpredictable weather lately. Which brings us back to that topic we touched on right at the beginning, is like, when do you do your knitting? Is it just your end of day wind down? Are you one of those people who brings it everywhere and works on it every spare second? I might try to become more in that camp, because I think that could be like a really quick way to like chill out. Where did I join that yarn? Okay, I joined it over here. We may or may not get to that part in our 20 minutes. But I was so happy that I got to join the new ball of yarn in this video today, because it feels like especially a project like this where it kind of looks the same for a really huge chunk of it. You know, it's kind of hard for me to see my progress. So it's nice when I get to add a new ball of yarn in, because I'm like, oh yeah, that is an indisputable measure that I have done a lot of knitting on this project, and I've made a big leap forward in terms of how much of it I've done. I can also use stitch markers for that, I guess, if I wanted. So I want updates from everyone out there. Let me know what project you're working on. But then also, like, if you watch my videos regularly, if you do these regular craft and chat sessions with me, I want updates. If you're like, oh, like, I started my scarf when you were working on this, like, please send me an update. Be like, I made it 2 more inches into my scarf, or I finished it. Because I feel like that's what this is all about, is being able to like chit chat, do our thing. It helps us relax, and also just like connect with other people who also like this hobby in a very like low stakes, relaxed way, and just kind of be like, I did my hobby. I want you to see it. I want to engage with you about it. And it is not limited to knitting at all. I'm knitting a lot right now because I really want to get this sweater done. But, you know, if, like, by all means, any arts and crafts, send me updates on your embroidery project, or your sewing, or the costume that you're sewing, or your clay sculpting, or anything else, your resin project. I want to know about all of it. I kind of consider myself like a jack of all trades, master of none in a lot of areas, but especially with crafts. Like, I know an okay amount about a lot of different crafts instead of a lot about one craft. Okay, so now we're getting to where I joined. So it's going to get a little bit wonky here. I'm going to have to try and like pull it tight again, so I don't get that hole where I joined it. This is not an official way to do it. I don't know the official technique to get that join to look nice, but I find if I just keep tightening up those 2 threads from where I joined the ball, then in a few rows, like in like 2 more rows or something, it'll mostly stay on its own. And then when it comes time to finish the project and I sew in the ends, then I can also strengthen that there too. Oh my gosh, right on the nose, almost exactly at 20 minutes. And I did 2 rows. And this is very nice timing. Okay. So we did our 20 minutes. That's my timer right now. Oh, you know, I'm wrong. I have another minute. Let's go for it. I don't want to cut our time short. I was looking at the recording time and not the time on my timer. So I will try and squeeze every last second of crafting that I can out of this session. Which, of course, this is just how I like to approach crafting. is to make sure I take 20 minutes to do it. But obviously, like, you don't have to do that. You could take 5 minutes, or you could just do it until you didn't want to anymore. But I really like the 20-minute timer because it makes sure that I am dedicating like a noticeable chunk of time in my day that's not unrealistic still, but noticeable to something that brings me joy. And that's important to me. Okay, let me go back and tighten up these two ends because that hole is going to drive me nuts. If anyone has any expert tips for how to join my ends better, please let me know. Okay, so that's our timer. So for future reference, I can knit about that much in 1 minute. That's not very much, but I never proclaimed to be like a super speedy knitter. Okay, cool. So that has been 20 minutes. I did about 2 1/8 of 2 1/8 rows on this sweater. Let me know what kind of progress you made today, what you were working on, what you were drinking. I had my green tea. Thanks so much for joining me. Today I really liked our topic about really using crafting, especially with how physical it is, right? Because you're holding the object in your hand, using it as a grounding technique and trying to help us stay mindful and in the moment. Because I know I get so focused on the future, I get so stressed, and having something physical in my hands that I'm working on for 20 minutes that makes me happy really helps me just chill out and actually be present for a few minutes. So let me know how you feel about that, and then answer my question. Are you someone who likes to knit during the day, like I did just today? This is my first time like knitting on my lunch break, and I'm a big fan. I think I'm going to keep doing it. Or if you're like an end of the day wind down, or if you're one of those people who brings it everywhere with you, in which case like you are so dedicated and I love it. I'm going to start doing that too. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Let's do this again real soon. We're going to craft and chat as often as we can. Bye, everyone.